discussion. Lecturers in 31 public universities made good their threat and began a strike that they say will end once the 2013 collective bargaining agreement is implemented in full. Now, the Dons lament that even after the government agreed to implement a pay rise in July, only 5 universities complied, 2 of which later reverted back to the 2010-2013 rates. The third lecturer strike this year enters day 2 today. I want to bring in my colleague Trix Ngado, who's joining us from our City Centre studio with the latest. Trix, it's day 2 of the Dons strike. First things first, where are we at in regards to the negotiations and the implementation of this 2013 CBA?
Thank you very much, Betty. As far as that CBA goes, they say that the government has not demonstrated any seriousness in terms of implementing it, because they say it was only implemented in 5 universities. So they're saying this is unheard of, that a CBA can actually be signed, but then no implementation is done. And in fact, in the few campuses, in the few universities where it had actually taken effect, they're having to where things have reverted back to the usual salaries. So the CBA would have foreseen 2 billion shillings go to pensions for academic staff workers, and also it would have overseen pay hikes for those who are already working and housing allowances, and also that is an increment in the housing allowances for academic staff. But this was not seen, it did not come to fruition. We know that, like you've said, this is the third strike in terms of the past one academic year. So the Dons said that every time they go on strike, the government comes up with all these promises. They make a step, but once they go back to work, things do not take the kind of turn that they were hoping for. So when this time they went back to work, they were hoping that the salaries would be reflected in all the at least 33 universities and their affiliate colleges across the country. They were, they were surprised that this did not take effect. So they are wondering whether this is a courtesy of the ministry, or maybe the universities are just not remitting the funds that have come through. But even though there is talk of there not being enough cash to actually implement this. So these lecturers have said that the only language that government understands is strike, strike, strike. And therefore, they're going to stay down their tools and stay away from the classes and the learning or academic calendar rather, until things are implemented and are flowing in the right direction. They say that the last time university lecturers got a pay hike was back in 2010, and we know that things have progressed right now. Life has changed. There has been inflation. The 10,000 shillings that you had 10 years ago is not the same 10,000 shillings. You know, it has depreciated. Right now, it has depreciated in value, and therefore they want better kind of living so that they can, keep up with life. But they're seeing that they are having a government that is actually discriminating against them. They say Kenya is one of the countries where people in academia are paid some of the lowest rates in the entire world, and they feel that this is a thing that disenfranchises them. It ruins their morale, and they're trying to fight to actualize this. We also talked yesterday. I did talk to some students who said that this thing is actually something that they are for in terms of the well-being of their lecturers, because of course, happy lecturer, happy student, everything will go well for both parts. But at the same time, they say that they need a government that actually deals with things once and for all, so that when lecturers come up with these needs and they have talks and dialogue with the government, and they come to agreements, they feel that these agreements need to be seen through, so that they do not have to be going on strike every other few months. So right now that students have been on that few days recess because of the election, but then when they're hoping to come back to their normal academic program, they're finding that their lecturers have down their tools. So this throws a spanner in the works. This strike comes after the lapse of an 18-day ultimatum that was given by the lecturers, the WASU, which is the union that covers academic workers in the country, and they said that they could not effect the strike on the 26th. It actually ended, the ultimatum ended on the 26th, but we know that on that day they had gone to the country had gone to the ballot, so they pushed it forward so that to let political temperatures calm down, so that they can come up with their demands and down their tools and say that they're not, actually they say this time time, they will not be listening to any promises or any, false, feeble attempts by the government or their bosses to make things right. They're going to wait until they see that actually people in charge have given this problem its much due attention, and then they will be going back to class once and only once their needs have been met by the authorities.
All right, Trix, let me take you back to something that you mentioned, that 5 universities actually had complied, but then 2 of them reverted back to the old rates. Do we know why this happened?
Actually, this is something that has had a lot of these UASU officials confused, because they, first of all, they expected that this should be realized in all the 30-something universities, but this did not happen. It only happened in 5 universities. And while they were still questioning why has this happened in the 5 universities, we are having a scenario where 2 of them now revert back to the old salaries, the lesser cash that the lecturers were receiving, which also makes it the problem even more complicated. There was talk of not enough money coming through from Treasury to implement this CBA. So this is why they have now decided that they're going to down their tools so that the government can actually cough up more cash that is enough to foresee this CBA to its full fruition before they actually go back to work. Because having a CBA signed actually means that this is basically a done deal. So the only thing that is expected is to see the salaries going higher, the housing allowance going higher, and the pension being given to the rightful money, which is 2 billion shillings, being given to the pension for the academic staff. But they did not see this coming through. So the 5 universities that got the monies were not even the full implementation of the whole deal. So while they're still grappling and wondering what is going on, 2 of these fall back because they're saying there isn't enough cash to sustain the pay hikes that the lecturers were given. They are saying that apparently there isn't enough money, and this is one of the reasons why they have down their tools, and they're saying they will not be going back to work until the rightful cash is wired to the rightful institutions.
Wow. Trix and